Atonement for Me. Pronouns with
Donald
and Vee. Hey magical misfits, it's Kaidain Ivy and welcome back to Atonement for Me with Vader, Vee, and Donald.
Hi!
I have a very crowded
Cheers.
couch. Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't get you
Oh, cheers.
a water
Cheers.
bowl.
We're spilling
Here,
tea.
here. There's your snoot.
There's your snoot. Do you like our tea? Oh, he's like,
You know full well he's going to try and put his snoot in somebody's beverage.
I know, but it's going to be too hot. He's going to be like, oh, that was too
Yeah,
hot.
he
I'm
doesn't
used to
care.
it.
What's his
Doesn't care.
favorite? What would be Vader's favorite drink, you think?
Tea. 100%.
What kind of tea?
My tea, other than just,
baby.
but.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
what are we talking about today?
So we're here, other than Vader's tea preferences, to talk about pronouns. And who better to talk about pronouns than Vee?
Hello, everyone. Now, I must say that I am not the complete spokesperson. You could tell this is going off to a very good start. I'm not the spokesperson for the LGBTQ community. However, I do identify as someone with a they, them pronouns and has kind of struggled with that kind of choice. A good chunk of my 20s and my now 30s. So, yes, I can definitely enlighten you with some experiences. So, I go by they, them pronouns. What pronouns do you go by?
I go by she, they, whatever people throw at me, but I'm terrible with people's pronouns and I always mix them up and I apologize in advance to other people whose pronouns I do mix up. Even if you are somebody who I've known as a female your whole life and then I accidentally call you he, I apologize.
Well, as long as you fix it, and you just kind of make... Because that's that why you wanted to talk about pronouns today? Is like...
Because I struggle with people's pronouns all the time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Why not?
Okay, sure. We can definitely talk about how, like, pronouns... Like, the first time you heard about the concept of pronouns, we could definitely, like, talk about that. I mean, like, the first time someone asked you, like, oh, they go by he, him, they, them, she, her, that kind of thing. Like, did you ever have that first time conversation?
Not really.
Not really? It just kind of happened? I know you kind of happened, but, like...
All people kind of have.
All people kind of... By the way, hi, Don.
Hi.
How are you?
It's good. I'm just here.
What pronouns do you go by?
I go by Democrat or Republican. Are those pronouns?
Those are not pronouns. Those are kind of like... I don't know. What do you call those? Allegiances? Or just like...
Cults.
Cults? Yeah,
Cults.
sure.
Cult
But
of America.
from what I have heard from
I go
Caitlin...
by he?
You go by he? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, you
Like,
think?
well, like, what are pronouns?
What are pronouns? Pronouns are ways to identify their identity markers in conversation. So it's how you refer to someone.
So they don't necessarily, like, is it sexuality?
No, because sexuality and gender are two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin.
Two ears of the same coin.
Two ears of the same.
The green part, that's all gender and sexuality.
Two kernels.
Sometimes you can peel it,
pops.
it's two.
It's what popping right now. It's just like the gender's popping right
It
now.
reminds me of like Jewel Time.
Popcorn.
What was
Just
this home
popcorn.
improvement?
Yeah, no, two sides of the same coin. That's what I meant to say. Because here's the thing, you can identify as technically as, like, some people can identify as straight, as in their sexual orientation can be attracted to someone of the opposite gender. However, their gender identity could mean that they are trans or non-binary. So it's just kind of like a mix of match. Like, for example, myself, I'm probably like, I don't want to say I'm a typical queer. Vee. Vee. Let me just finish that sentence before you're like gonna correct me.
You picture someone giving your police description. Very typical queer. Very typical.
Super typical queer.
Bloodstones.
Flannel. Flannel. Hats.
Very typical.
So, according to a typical queer, if I walk into a room full of queers, they'd be like, okay. So, because besides, they, them boundaries, I also identify as a pansexual person. Mm-hmm. So, I don't care. As long as you're nice to me and you say please and thank you and use the pronouns and, buy me nice things ish, it's fine. I will garble your bits. It doesn't matter. Just like,
What if I use the wrong pronoun though?
then it's on you, because if I told you they them and then you go, here's what I hate, what happens when someone misgenders me. This is the awkward part, because they're just like, I go by they them and they go, oh, okay, thank you so much for telling me. I'm just a big ally of the LGBTQ, and this is my grandson just came out as trans, and this is all such a, like, I know this is new for you, Barbara. Please stop grabbing me. Don't touch me without my consent. Oh, I am so sorry. And then if they misgender me, they go, they act like they broke something, and I'm already broken. So I'm just like, here's what I would like all straight people or people who misgender do. Just change it. Like, you know how you get a person's name wrong? Just like, she, her.
Susan. Oh, I mean, Tanya.
Tanya, yeah. Just like, that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't need to make a big deal.
It's awkward for that second, but it's less awkward than just pushing forth with your convictions.
It's like if I accidentally pushed you and I was like, I'm so sorry I exist. I'm so
push you a little further.
I just keep pushing you. You're just like, no, it's good. I've been pushed over all my life. It's fine. And it's like, no, you can stop pushing me. No, I just can't stop pushing.
Well, I mean, it's funny. Like, I don't get gender, but I get race conversation, like race identity with people.
Exactly.
And it's like when I tell people I'm black, and they're like, "Oh my god, my daughter has half black kids, and my sister married a black man." And inside, I'm just like, so fucking what? Like,
how? We're not going to be friends after
right?
this.
Like, it doesn't
We're not
change.
going to be friends.
Inside, I'm like, you're still a racist. It doesn't matter how much you convince yourself.
Trying to prove to me you're an ally right now. This is not how you do it.
No.
All you need to do is just pretend like, let's just say, I would assume. Because, like, if you were white, they would not even, like, oh, my son has married a white girl.
Yeah, like,
or, like,
my kid's half white, half Italian.
There's a bit of German in there, just, we're with you on that. Yeah, just, like, it's not, if you just don't make it a big deal, it's more normalized. All we, like, pronouns, like,
but anything, the more you use it, the more it gets normalized. Because, yes, it seems like a foreign concept at first. Because especially, like, for me, they, them, that, the grammar, it doesn't click in my head when you're just like, no, that's a collective. That's more than one person, and you're a singular. That was my biggest thing.
Well, and that's like even like
my parents too.
Straight world, like that's the idea. Like, but you're one person. Why would I change my speech? You're not. I can tell what sex you are. Why would I change? You know what I mean? And like at the end of the day, it's just basically because someone asked you to. Like,
it's like when people say Miss, and they're like, oh, I'm Mrs. They're like, oh, so sorry, Mrs.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone gets that concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, call me Mr. Johnson, don't call me Donald. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll refer to you as Mr. Johnson.
Because it's easy to put into like a kind of like I don't want to say a box, but a box, if you will. And so because they can't visually see it, it's like, you don't need to visually imagine my junk in order to you to recognize me as a person. You don't need to do that. It's fine. Just me as a person is okay. And my dad is a retired professor. You can't have me right now. No, keep your teeth to yourself. My dad is a retired professor.
People pay for that, Dawn. People pay for that.
Yeah, you could just figure out a new business venture. Yeah.
Bernie, your stage manager.
You're stage manager. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I think I forgot to mention that you guys are soulmates.
How are you know that?
I know you guys know that, but they don't.
They should.
Now they know.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. My parents were the same way. My dad was a retired professor. My mom is a French-Canadian ballerina. So when I came out to them which was weirdly, I noticed that all the times I came out was at a Starbucks. Is
that the place to come out?
I feel like that had became...
Get yourself like a unicorn frappuccino.
I didn't get... I was just... No, because every time my parents would visit me, I would just... The only time that we probably had a nice sit down and talk, because my apartment was a mess, my roommates were there, and I was like, please don't meet my back in the day.
Were they like, how come you don't have a boyfriend kind of parents?
Not really. No, they don't care. Honestly, they didn't ask me about boyfriends because they... When I came out to them as poly as well, they're like, we don't, okay.
Get out!
No, nothing like that. My parents are sweet.
No,
of course. No, obviously not. But I think became not the black sheep, but like, oh, of course it would happen to you, kind of thing. Because I came out as gay, and then I was poly, and then pan, and my parents
You're like
were
the
like,
liability. If it's gonna happen,
it's gonna be V. It's gonna be.
Well, I mean, I came out as Asian, so.
Literally Asian. Yeah, and they're just like, oh, an Asian baby. Yay! Were they like that? Yay!
Well, I mean, and it's funny, there's a lot of people who consider me like that I came out as black, because at one point in time I didn't care about views, like, you know, and I would like engage people like on Trump, and like people would be just perceived that like I like them. And,
Yeah. What do you do when you're in a room with people that are racist and you're uncomfortable? Like, have your parents ever gave you?
I start calling everybody nigga.
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm like, what's up, my nigga? How you doing, dog? Like, the whitest of white people.
How do they react? Have you actually done that?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
I make them so uncomfortable with it. Like,
do
start
they
telling
just-
them like story Jesse Owens and shit. Like, just no reason, just break off into like, man, my grandmother was raised on a plantation, and like just break off into just super uncomfortable stories.
Yeah,
and
because
just,
they have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They've been raised on that kind of
yeah.
privilege.
Like, I'm not
Like,
going to be
in-
uncomfortable.
in my
but-
family.
Yeah.
Like when my family members started spewing like really racist shit, and I like they're all white, and I'm sitting there, the only colored person, and I'm going. And my yes, I know, sweetie, I know, sweetie.
They were making fun of you.
You weren't there at the time. It's
Why
okay.
wasn't I there at the time?
You weren't there. You would have been the other colored person in the room.
Yeah.
But my dad just looked up at me, his like deer in the headlights, like shocked. Oh no, but doesn't intervene. He goes, Caitlin, you need to go and count all the pillows in your hotel room right now. And then he there comes over and escorts me out. And I was like, and I actually went up to my hotel room and counted all the pillows and
many
gave my dad a report of how many pillows were in the hotel. There were 16.
That's a lot of pillows.
I was sharing the room with my sister.
I like one.
I like about three at most, so I can stack them and support my back.
It was in a suite, and there was more than one. Like there was a bunch of, because like we were all staying.
Did you steal one of the pillows?
No.
So you counted every pillow in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
That's fair.
Well, I mean, it was supposed to take time, so I did that. Then afterwards, I came back. There was still an issue, so my dad sent me to the bar to order nachos, even though we were in a restaurant. We'd just eaten supper, and my dad's like, "We need nachos right now, Caitlin. You need to investigate the nacho situation." Right now. So I'm like, okay, so we can't intervene about the whole scenario that's happening right here, but it is very imperative to give Caitlin useless tasks to get her away from the racists.
yeah, which is us, right? They were the ones that were kind of instigating the whole thing and that kind of thing.
My family?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, that's crappy. When it came to like when it came to like the awkward, uncomfortable transness, I just shut down, and luckily my mom would kind of like take me aside and be like, I noticed that you shut down. And I'm like, I noticed you're talking to me about it. Why? Like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, because one of the first times that they noticed something was off, not off, but like one of my aunts, who was a neuropsychologist, they were talking about like trans surgery, whether or not they would give like life-affirming surgery to a trans person for them or for someone with like who's going to die like cancer or heart. And so my aunt was like, I'd rather go for someone who's going to die of cancer or something. But I think this was a long time ago, so like the way they were talking about trans people before that intersection was like very like secondary. Like they were obviously, I know they did not mean to choose a straight life over a trans life, but the way they were like, oh no, they'll get over it. Like, it's not as serious. Like, for them, they can wait a little longer in their body that they did not feel comfortable with. They can be fine.
It's just a phase.
But that's been the way that anything that is considered other is being handled.
Yeah.
Like secondary, to straight people or secondary to white people or secondary, like even within the gay community, the little facets and the little umbrellas, other people feel marginalized within a marginalized community.
And so that was like one of the big times I felt marginalized at the table in front of my family. So I was just like, I don't know what to say. Because my dad was aware that I was kind of part of that community, and so he wanted to ask me about that. So he's about to turn and be like, what do you think about it? And I immediately get up and I walk away because I don't want...
You don't want to participate in that.
I don't want to participate and because...
Well, just you feel vulnerable at that point.
Yeah,
it's not a comfortable space.
At the time, I didn't know what I was identifying as. I didn't know if I was a boy or a girl.
And it's not all love there. It's not
No, it's
all
not. It's not a safe space.
It was not
to
safe.
discuss.
Yeah, and then my mom, I would start breaking down in one of the bedrooms. I think my parents' bedroom or something, or something.
How many pillows were there?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by Israel shaking his head. It's like, don't talk about the pillows anymore, please.
You fucking pillows.
Oh, fuck you with a pillow fort. No, 4. 4 pillows. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. They're double stacked, double stacked pillows. No, and then later on in life, my mom outed me to my younger brother at Coburg Cafe, like down on Coburg, and I'm just like...
Not Starbucks.
It wasn't a Starbucks, but she took the initiative. It's like, oh, now we're going to do it over here.
Wrong choice of cafe,
Wrong choice of cafe.
Like,
Mom, you didn't go to the right cafe.
You didn't go to Starbucks.
Me to
you
my...
obviously didn't Google this.
No, because and then my younger brother was there, and I was not... She thought that as a mom, that everyone would just accept each other, so her heart was in the right place, but then she turns to my younger brother, she goes, by the way, Vee is non-binary, and I'm like, ah! And my brother does not know what that is. Like, what?
Like she's dots? What?
Yeah, no, I go like, you don't exist. No, just like, no, and I'm just so
She
mad.
just busts out an old computer from like the 60s, and it's like...
She's zeros and ones.
0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. You have to refer to me as 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, Bender. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. I joined the Church of Bender. But no, my brother's like, what the fuck? Like because here's like, my brothers and I are not close enough, to say the least. So for my mom just to be like, by the way, this happened, and I'm like, one, you took my voice away.
Yes.
You took my voice. You didn't ask for my permission. I know what you meant by that, but also because it made me... obviously, if I'm not in a safe space, I'm going to get a little emotional. I'm going to get like, why the fuck
Well,
did
it's
you do that?
defensive.
And so if I come off as defensive, they're not going to believe my words. I have to be very calm, you know.
We do know.
Yeah,
we do know.
You have to be like, if I show any emotion right now, they will not take me seriously and think this is a phase, because that was my biggest insecurity. Like, I need to be. And so I started trying to explain with my knowledge, because I was just getting into it, like, here's what I discovered about myself, and I don't feel comfortable with this at all. And then eventually the topic changed over to like Black Lives Matter, because at the time there was like the rise of it and police brutality, and obviously at the time my brother had different opinions. He's changed. He's read books, and I'm like, finally.
He's read books.
He's read the books. He's
read the books.
He's read the books. He saw the news, and I'm like, but at the time he's just like, they're just doing their job, and I'm like, oh, you want to fight now? Oh, I can't. Oh my god. I can't even sip.
You're just like spilling. You're just holding the cup up to your face, and
it's
the
just, like,
water
triggered.
is just...
This is my trigger finger.
There's no key. There's
Eventually,
no key left in it.
I think the biggest challenge was like with my brothers in general. Eventually, my parents kind of like, my dad was sad only because to me, I was his daughter. You know, it's like, you were my baby girl growing up.
Well, to him, he's like, you took the whole option of grandkids off the table for him. And to like an older person, I can see where that would hurt.
Well, for some...
Even though that
yeah.
might not necessarily be true.
Yeah. It's not true because for some... Yeah, go ahead.
Because his limited knowledge on things.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
where
I
he's
can't...
at
What does
with
that
it.
mean? Because he's asked me that question before.
Yeah.
So because you're non-binary, are you still going to have kids?
Yeah.
Like, will you still use your... Because... In his own words, like, you told me that you think your body parts are tools. And I'm like, well, technically, yes, I do use them for performing. Does that mean you're going to use your body as a tool to make a baby? And I'm like... no. I do not wish to have babies. It's just not I don't want that. But, you know, my older brother has 2 kids. can you just accept that? This is like, I wanted you to have kids. Like, why? So your lineage could go on? I mean, that's great, but you have 2 other kids up north. It's fine. They'll be fine. So my brothers, the first question that my older brother asked me when I came out was, okay, but like, what bathroom do you use? And I'm like, why do you
Why
care?
is that the first question
Why are
that
straight people
comes
still?
up?
Why are straight people obsessed with what I pee out of? Like, why do you need to mention
Or where you pee?
or where I pee? Like, why does my biological functions have anything to do? Because you feel scared that I'm in the same bathroom? Let me tell you something. We just want to take a shit. That's all we want to do is take a shit in a public place. No one wants to shit in public. No one wants to share a bathroom with somebody else who's taking a fucking dump next to you. No one wants that. I don't want that. So why are you like, oh my God, their butthole must be gay?
Because I think the next thought usually is the kids.
The kids.
Schools. My daughter will be pooping next to another boy. That's where their mind goes.
But those schools are the ones that are just like, okay, but those clothes, girls, you can't be distracting boys at this age. And it's just like...
Can't be distracting teachers at that age.
Yes,
That's kind of gross if you think about it. Just like young girls distracting older men. It's your fault for getting them a boner. Like that,
Look at how you're dressed.
But it's the exact same thing as like the fucking bathroom thing.
Yeah.
It's only an issue for you because if there are kids in the bathroom, chances are the children are trying to pee.
Not remember, but I remember seeing photos of being like in the tub with my sister. She was 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like a baby. She'd be like, we were in the
Same.
tub.
I have photos with my siblings.
And I think every kid does. Like
everybody has. If they didn't have siblings, then they're cousins or like.
Like for years, my mother, who just so happens to be a female, which is crazy, was in the bathroom with me whenever I had to piss or shit till I was like 2 or 3.
Because they want to make sure you're doing it right.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like it shouldn't be a foreign concept to think both sexes can occupy the same urinary device.
Yes, but however, in bathrooms, sometimes women breastfeed.
Oh no! So you're just
in bathrooms?
In bathrooms.
That's the only place that women are allowed breastfeeding.
Yeah.
I think that would be gross, like unsanitary.
It is disgusting, but think about it. Women aren't allowed to breastfeed almost everywhere in public. You get criticized for it, and the only place that they're saying is you can go and use the bathroom.
But
I'm sorry.
Or cover your child.
I mean, very
with
few
a
people. I
shawl.
can't say everyone. Very few people have not, but mostly everyone has suckled off of a breast.
A titty.
At some point
Everyone
in their
here
life,
is kind of in this room has sucked off a tit.
Everyone,
for
like,
nutritional, like
at least for the first day.
not nutritional.
The first day you're sucking off
But
tit.
when
like-
you're a new infant.
I'm adopted. Where was the milk coming from?
No,
okay.
but I mean, day 1, day 2 in transit, nothing.
No,
Really?
because I'm adopted. So as soon as they have,
No, but I mean,
I'm
like
separated.
the instant you were born, it was gone.
Yes.
Oh, so you never
Yes,
sucked off your...
like they want to make sure for adopted children, especially once they're being given
even
up.
for anybody,
For given up, they
like,
don't want the biological mother to touch the child.
Oh, that's
But you
sad.
should at least get like the nipple antibodies.
Not even in a little to-go cup?
Like it's little Susan, can I get this in a doggy bag?
It's in a little
Can I
bottle?
have one of those like the short
You bust this
Starbucks
off in a
cups?
Tim's
Yes,
cup?
it's
Like-
a little...
Little, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just like a person, typically a man, being angry at a mom or a person who gave birth because the tit's not for them. Like, why are you like,
It's not-
you're using it for the right
mean, it's
reasons
not
and I'm
like-
mad about it.
She's like giving a blowjob in public. It's like feeding a baby. Like it's completely like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways,
I don't know, it would be weird to do it with
Anyways,
that, like-
we should probably turn back to the pronoun thing.
Yes, yes,
because that's a
yes.
whole another thing.
Yes.
But with the pronouns thing, because we just started talking about bathrooms. It's like, what bathroom do you use? And I'm like, why? That's the first of all, that's a cop-out. That's the first question. You don't even want to know how I got here. Like, no one ever asked me, like...
Well, I think because a lot of like people like in the straight world are just afraid to offend, so they try to think of like people with race. They try to think of the most
if you're-
unoffensive way they can ask something, and it usually winds up being the most offensive
That's
way.
what
you
I was
can
about to
ask
say.
something.
Like they were so worried about offending
Where are
me.
you from? It's like
Here?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
So they're just like, They became upset with me at some point because I did not want my dad to refer me as his daughter, just his child, which he does now. It's not a big deal. Like, hello, child. Hello, offspring. It's really fucking funny now. But back then, they're just like, you're hurting his feelings. I'm like, first of all, don't speak for dad. He's a grown-ass man. Number two, we've had this discussion. He's going to be sad for a while.
In his generation, they didn't even have feelings. You were gay if you had feelings back then. You didn't have feelings in the 60s, 70s. Like.
Yeah, and so... I mean, at least they knew from miles, and when I first started drag and burlesque, they're just like, the first thing that my mom asked me when I told her I started doing drag king was, are you not happy being a woman? And I'm like, no, of course I'm happy being a woman. I just like dressing up as a dude with a giant dick and blah, blah, blah. And then years later, like, hey, I'm not happy being a woman anymore. Turns out you were kind of right.
Whole time.
And she was just a sweet thing. She was kind of concerned. Was like, I just don't want you to get lost in your identity. And I'm like, my identity is constantly changing. I'm lost in general. Let's just take an adventure down Gender Alley. Woo, woo, woo. You know, just like, you're lost in general.
I mean, that's the thing. We're all lost. If you make a mistake with the pronouns, try and keep in mind, just apologize. Be cool, and that's the tea.
Yes, exactly. Let's have a sip to that tea.
Is there any left?
I don't know. You're in. Oh, you.
I have some left.
See you later.